forcing Speaker Johnson's hand on the Epstein investigation. In a major escalation tonight, the Attorney General of Arizona and Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva of Arizona are suing Mike Johnson. And they're suing him because Grijalva has not been sworn in.
Her lawsuit reads, quote, "This case is about whether someone duly elected to the House who indisputably meets the constitutional qualifications of the office may be denied her rightful office simply because the Speaker has decided to keep the House out of regular session."
Okay, Rep. Grijalva was elected after the House went out of session, so we are delighted to administer the oath to her as soon as we get back to regular session here, the legislative session. That's the whole point. By the way, I'm following the Pelosi precedent. She was Speaker here a long time. She did this many times.
Speaker, we spoke to your predecessor, Kevin McCarthy, earlier this week, and he made an interesting point, though, about what you're describing, which is that it is politics. And I'm not suggesting it isn't. When you even look at what Nancy Pelosi did, and we could just, if we wanted together, we could say this is a disgrace and condemn the fact that politics are taking place here and that there is a precedent. But I think rather than look to that, the question is, it doesn't have to be this way.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here. And did you hear about that Speaker of the House guy who's trying to rewrite history and say no one party's ever had the balls to shut down the government over a clean, beautiful Republican CR? Is he insane, a conspirator, or just a coward hiding behind a fake crisis?
This is a choice that's being made. And I think that is the issue here. And so this idea that it can't be done in some other way. And I'd raise it because the other issue is, what would happen if you actually took those votes and hard votes and won those votes? Wouldn't that be the better path?
And you know what? That's exactly what Mike Johnson thinks passes for leadership. Gaslighting the American people while him and his cronies are out on vacation. They're hiding behind churchy smiles and press releases, feeding us excuses about a shutdown that's built on a lie.
Look, the CR that we sent over is a totally clean, nonpartisan document. It's 24 pages in length. It literally is the bare minimum language just to keep everything at status quo. And I will point out to you, status quo is Biden-era policies and spending. We don't even like it. Republicans are trying to change that.
And the biggest lie, that so-called clean CR, what a joke. There's nothing clean about it. Not when it leaves families guessing about food stamps, not when it stalls health care, and not when it keeps an elected member of Congress from being sworn in just to protect the child traffickers. That's what Mike Johnson thinks passes for leadership, protecting the powerful while pretending to pray. And you weren't ready for the long list of excuses that he gives. Now might be a good time to stretch your legs, grab a cup of tea, maybe check if the remote still works, because Mike Johnson's about to test your patience. What comes next is political theatrics. We're talking Olympic-level blame shifting, calendar juggling, and the condescending Southern charm so thick you could pour it on pancakes.
I have nothing to negotiate. I have nothing I can offer them because I can't pull any of my Republican priorities off the CR and make it more palatable because we didn't add them in the first place. This was a good faith effort to allow more time for the appropriators to finish their job. Plain and simple, and that's what makes this so remarkable and so especially painful for people.
First, it's a scheduling issue. Then it's a Pelosi precedent. And then, when all else fails, it's the Democrats' fault for trying to keep people fed and healthy. Even CNBC's Aaron Ross Sorkin couldn't let that one slide. He flat out said, this isn't precedent, it's a choice. And that's the whole point, isn't it? And now someone has got to sue him just to make him do his job. Damn pathetic, isn't it? A congresswoman and a state attorney general having to drag the Speaker of the House into court just to get sworn in. It's like pulling teeth from someone who doesn't want to open his mouth. Add in a bruised ego and a few secrets he's terrified will come out, and you've got the perfect picture of Mike Johnson. This guy doesn't want to reopen the government because he knows exactly what will happen, and he is absolutely stalling. Mike Johnson knows exactly what he's doing. He's an arrogant lawyer twisting the facts and bending the rules to protect the billionaire boys club he thinks he belongs to. But he's not one of them. He's a pawn. And when Trump's done using him, he'll get tossed aside like a chewed up piece of gum, spit out and forgotten. So what's he really getting out of all of this? What's the payoff for selling out the American people? Money and power. That's it. It always comes down to money and power. The power to make decisions for poor people without ever having to live like them. The money to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, without a thought for who he hurts in the process. He steps over families struggling to eat. He steps on the people crying out in his own district. And he does it all with that fake grin and a Bible in his hand. Mike Johnson isn't the voice of procedure or precedent. He's the mouthpiece for billionaires and predators. This guy's out here preaching about family values while defending the very monsters who destroy families. And let me tell you something. This is absolutely personal. Mike Johnson's sitting up there acting like this is some procedural technicality, like he's got all the time in the world to play politics, while families are stressed about their SNAP benefits. We're talking about rich, powerful men who think they can do whatever the hell they want because of who they are, because they have money, titles, and of course, lawyers. Prince Andrew thought it was his birthright to prey on a young girl because he was royalty. He thought the rules didn't apply to him. You know who else felt that way? Donald Trump. Trump believed that because he was rich, he had the right to do whatever he wanted. That being part of the Billionaire Boys Club meant there were absolutely no consequences. And don't tell me that's made up. He bragged about walking into dressing rooms where teenage contestants were changing, bragged about seeing young girls naked. Imagine your own kid in that situation. Imagine hearing that some grown man, some so-called leader, watched her while she was changing and laughed about it on TV. I'll tell you what, if that were my daughter, I'd raise hell. I'd never let it go, because that's an insult to human decency. These girls didn't ask for it. They weren't looking for trouble. They were trying to make a life, to build something, to climb out of poverty, to chase a dream. And what did they get? They got exploited by powerful men who saw them as disposable. And now, after all that, when justice is finally within reach, when we could finally hear the truth, Mike Johnson and his crew are doing everything they can to keep the lid nailed shut. They're protecting the predators instead of the victims. Every single Republican who votes to keep those Epstein files sealed is complicit. You're voting to protect abusers, not children. You're voting to protect billionaires, not families. And let's be clear, this isn't about left or right. It's about right or wrong. It's about whether we're going to stand up for those girls, these women, those families who have carried this trauma for years while the powerful hid behind lawyers and loopholes. So yeah, Mike, you'd better believe people are angry. You better believe that we are all watching, because those victims deserve their day in court. They deserve to be heard. They deserve justice. And if you and your party keep standing in the way, the American people are going to make damn sure history remembers exactly which side you were on with the pedophiles. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.